And let's talk to David James. Delighted to say he joins us right now on the Euro Football Show. Busy morning, isn't it? First of all, this Mason Mount, Ben Chilwell conundrum. It's, what is it, an enigma wrapped up in a conundrum. What do you make of all of this? How much of it blow, particularly to Chilwell, I would have thought, who might have been having a sneaky hope he might have a chance tonight?
Yeah, morning, Rob. I can see you're not decided on what the weather's going to be today with that jacket on and no umbrella. But anyway, I think what Gareth's done, what the FA have done is absolutely right. And one of my complaints or concerns earlier on in the year with football coming back and COVID protocols was that there was a lot of observations that it wasn't being adhered to the way it should have been within football. So for Gareth to take the two out of the squad to isolate them, I think is absolutely correct. And hopefully, with the testing in place, they'll sort of be back to the squad very quickly, providing obviously they haven't got COVID-19. But yeah, I mean, a headache for Gareth. I think, as Rob said there, I mean, in the defensive situation, there isn't a headache. I mean, we talked about the squad when it first came out, Rob, and you know, I don't think there's too big a headache for Gareth because he's got ample players. You say likes of Jude Bellingham, Jack Grealish, you know, Jadon Sancho, whatever. There's plenty of strength in depth for Gareth to draw upon.
Yeah, to answer your first point, David, I would say it was my lucky jacket, but I wore it on Friday. So if you're an England fan, maybe not. And it is chilly here today. That's in my defence. I just want to pick up on the point. Rob Dorset was here. You would have heard what he had to say. And if Mason Mount still has to self-isolate, who would he go for in there, Grealish or Bellingham? The thought was Bellingham. How big a story would that be? What
a wonderful story, and what a wonderful guy. I mean, as I say, having met him a few weeks ago, ultra confident in a good way, a talented player. And this is the point for Gareth. I mean, yes, he doesn't want the issue of a couple of players having to self-isolate, and more importantly, if there is an issue with them with regards to COVID, that actually being deeper into the squad. But when it comes to actually replacing their playing styles or their capabilities, when you've got the likes of Jude Bellingham, who, as I say, and everyone has said, he's proved himself this season at the tender age of 17. And when people refer to footballers as kids sometimes, I think Jude Bellingham fits that category in every description. So it would be a wonderful story.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a free hit if you're England, especially if you're England in a tournament. But after that performance against Scotland on Friday and the fact that England have now qualified for the round of 16, are the shackles somewhat released now for them? Can they play with a bit more freedom, or how do they approach this?
Yeah, well, just looking at the group situation, as you say, the fact that England qualified without having to play, so to speak, this argument about, you know, the group of death, who you're going to face, and if we win the group, who do we face in Group E? I mean, Group E and Group F, they're both so wide open that you could literally play anyone from that group. I think Hungary could still end up being England's opponent. So it's kind of like you play this game simply for the game, and it doesn't matter because you've got no influence over who you're going to play. And as you say, the fact that there's a couple of players dropped out, which means there will be a couple of players coming into the squad or into the starting lineup. Yeah, there should be fun. I say fun with the idea that we can go out, win the game, and not have to worry about who we've got to play. Yeah,
and you'll notice I moved away from using the M word and how important that could be tonight. So I've gone past that. I've gone beyond that now, David.
I love that.
Now, there weren't many positives to take from that game on Friday, was there, against Scotland? But Jordan Pickford, how much was he one of them?
Again, a fantastic performance. I mean, the thing is, he didn't have a lot to do. He didn't have a lot to do in the Croatia game, but what he did do, he did correctly. And the save that he made, well, it was a stunning save. And I mean, when I was watching it live, it was like, wow, what a save. And that doesn't often happen. But it was not about Jordan Pickford, but generally you can see the build-up and expect what's going to happen. But I wasn't expecting that. I think it's gone through defenders' legs, and it was a wonderful save. Kept England at 0-0. Was calm, composed. And your momentum thing, I will challenge it with, again, confidence. for a goalkeeper like Jordan Pickford, who everyone was questioning, not necessarily in a bad way, but there was a question mark at the beginning of the tournament or before the tournament. Things like that will boost his confidence, no doubt. And going into this game, obviously another continuation of that, he could be a goalkeeper keeping 3 clean sheets in the group stage, which would be fantastic.
And he almost got an assist, didn't he? That would have been a wonderful thing too. Let's get to fullbacks. Much debated. Are you team Trippier and Walker, James and Shaw? What are you?
I would go for the first lineup with Trippier and Walker. I think. Again, we're talking about 4 quality defenders here. It's not as if one is outstanding compared to the other. But I like the dynamism of Walker. I think, again, in this game, as you say, with the confidence going into the game, knowing that you don't have to win it to go through, I think there'll be more attacking. And the pace of Walker, I think, would be a key, especially when the Czech Republic will want to be getting crosses in for that young man Schick up front. So, Walker, I would put in there. Trippier, as I say, I think is an outstanding defender as well. So that's my preference. But it's not that the other 2 guys shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, and then you talked about 3 clean sheets, and Pickford is a major part of that, but also that centre-half pairing that's been in there. The considered opinion seems to be if Maguire's going to play at all in this tournament, he really has to play in tonight's game to bed him in. Do you buy that? And then, therefore, how unfair would that be on, you would think, Tyrone Mings?
Well, the partnership's been doing so well, Stones and Mings, and again with the aerial threat that the Czech Republic possess, you would think, well, these guys are doing well. And again, I suppose this is one of the Gareth's questions would be not just about Harry Maguire as a fit player needing to play some game time, but the potential opposition. As I say, given there's one of 8 teams that could be playing England, that would be a very difficult call anyway. So it's more about sort of keeping these 2 together, in my opinion. Just saying, well, look, you're doing the job, keep doing it. And if Harry Maguire is in a position where he can come on later on in the game, England, I said this last time against Scotland, didn't work out, but if England were in a comfortable position, then you could say bring someone in like Harry Maguire. I mean, there's enough substitutions to make enough changes around the pitch for players to get more game time. So I would start with Mings and Stones. I think they've been outstanding. So there's no reason to bring Harry Maguire in to start the game.
Okay. I was going to say who would play for England, but obviously you're one of them. So that seemed a little silly thing to say. But I'm talking about the double pivot. Praise to the rooftops against Croatia, then criticised against Scotland. I guess the idea amongst a lot of England fans is, let the shackles off, let England at them. But do you need that security of a Phillips and a Rice in front of the back 4, and therefore do you stick with it?
Well, I think, Rob, there's 2 points again. I mean, the knockout stages, I think, is going to be more about England's defence than it's going to be about the attack. Now, that on its own makes sense, but it would have been nice had England scored 3 or 4 goals in the previous 2 games to sort of justify that even more. But I think that that double pivot, as you say, I think that works. You stick with it. We're not conceding goals. Ultimately, to win the competition, you're going to have to be keeping clean sheets at some point. So I would stay with that. And I suppose you said who played for England. I mean, one of the problems that you get, had England beaten Scotland 5-0, then Scotland wouldn't have been good enough. It wouldn't have been the test. It's not what England needs. So you can't win for winning in some cases. So I'd stick with it. It's a formula that's working defensively. If teams can't score against us, then we only need 1 goal to win a game. It sounds like a song, Rob.
Yeah. Yeah, and you would carry it off well, I would think. I just got that feeling. Talking about carrying it off well, can Harry Kane carry out his mission? Right, he's been that subject, £100 million bid from Manchester City. Hasn't had a shot on target yet. How concerned are you about him at the moment? And is it just one of these natural dips? The only problem is it's highlighted because of the games he's playing in at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the bid, if it's true, obviously he'll be fully aware of that. I'm sure as a professional that he is, or I've heard described that he is ultra professional, that's not going to affect the way that he prepares for games and arguably then plays in games. Gareth Southgate, as you said on the show, has already announced that Harry will start the game. But similar to the Harry Maguire, two Harrys in this, similar to Harry Maguire, you would argue that potentially towards the end, it'd be the second half or towards the end of the game, then England could make some changes to try different formations, try different players out. Hopefully on the back of Harry having scored, of course. But if it subsequently comes out that a change of system creates more opportunities, then it gives Gareth a slight headache with regards to the first knockout game. So with regards to Harry starting, of course, I'll back him to score because I always do.
Yeah, and wonderful to see you, David. And one of the three lions, of course, behind you as well. Absolutely pleasure to see you today, David. Thank you very much for joining us on the Euro Football Show. And well, of course. Hopefully this one will become one, but who knows. David, lovely to see you.
Thanks, Rob.